Why do we chase the next big thing instead of digging into the foundational stuff, the inexpensive stuff, like nervous system regulation, trauma healing, or simply getting good sleep?
Are we in this trend, this food trend, because of the community, or is it truly our health? And are we trying to force something to work that might not necessarily be the right answer? Just doing the fast is not necessarily a win. I want to know, what was it beneficial for you? Now, it is so much easier to take a pill, to take a supplement, to buy an expensive gadget, to tell me I can't eat anything but red meat and that's it. It's so much easier to do that than to face the trauma from the past, to regulate your nervous system, meaning say no to good things and let yourself have some free time.
I'm tired, to be honest. I'm tired of things not working, and I want to simplify at this point.
Welcome to the Hot Takes and Hard Truths podcast, where we believe in unfiltered health, healing with real food, and unapologetic freedom that can only be achieved through the salvation of Jesus Christ. Your hosts, Jen and Nora, are close friends who found each other online despite the constant noise within the healthy living social media space. Their passion for natural health and Jesus, and their penchant to lean into the hard topics of the day, led them to want to share their thoughts and ideas with others who are also in search for meaning and answers. Please welcome your hosts, Jen and Nora.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Hot Takes and Hard Truths with Jen and myself. Today we're getting real about something we've unfortunately both fallen for at times: the never-ending stream of shiny new health trends. From sardine fast and buttloads of supplements to red light therapy and grounding, some of it works and some of it is just, or can be, expensive distraction. Why do we chase the next big thing instead of digging into the foundational stuff, the inexpensive stuff, like nervous system regulation, trauma healing, or simply getting good sleep? Are we biohacking or are we bypassing? Today, we are going to break it all down for you.
This is exciting.
Yes. And I know both of us have been on this chasing the latest shiny thing for years, both of us. And that's why we're going to break it down today.
Absolutely. Yep, 100% agree. So, all right, what do we mean by the latest shiny things? I guess maybe we should start there. Most people know diet is foundational, right? Get your food right, eat the right foods. You know, some people can live in moderation. That's fine if you can. A lot of us don't. Or there's particular foods you can moderate and particular ones you cannot. Personally, French fries, sweet potatoes, I can just go forever on those. Fruits, I can moderate. And then there's people the opposite. So knowing that stuff, but getting your diet to the best that you can. And again, this is kind of one of those topics that's hard not to go down other paths. But when I say that, it doesn't mean get it to be a strict carnivore or a strict keto or a strict fill in the blank. It means get it working for you.
Which is the biggest question then, because what is the best thing that works for us?
Each individual person.
Correct. It's individualized for everyone, which is where this chasing the latest shiny thing comes to play for both you and I, because we both chased the latest fad diets for how many years. And I think that's maybe a good first step.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And I will say, like, for myself, I wouldn't say they're necessarily fad diets because there's such a negative connotation with it, but I know what you mean. It's like the latest trending one, whatever.
The trend, not necessarily fad, but the trending, what's being pushed out. And I guess this is primarily social media.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's like our new thing where we're talking with our friend on our phone back in the days and we would hear from our friends. But now with social media, it's just in your face so quickly and you can get an abundance of information so quickly. So the first one is the diets, the ways of eating, whether it's veganism, carnivore, keto, low carb, animal based, sugar
Mediterranean.
fast. Yeah, Mediterranean, any of them. And they all have their positives and they all have their
Yes.
not so positives. But what the goal I feel like with my clients at least is when I help them, like if I put them on ketogenic, it's going to be if they are diabetic, insulin resistant, PCOS, anything like that. And certain PCOS, not all of them. Actually, it can mess up some PCOS even worse. But
Wow.
it's not meant to be forever.
Yes.
Ketogenic, under 20 grams of carbs. We just don't know the science of it lasting forever and what it can do for the body. Maybe in the future we'll find out actually it's okay. But I have not seen that. And I did it because of my epilepsy, like we talked about on the second episode. But even then, I was still noticing ill effects. So, what about you? You were doing carnivore.
I started the carnivore and I
Yeah.
did it for healing purposes, which I think it can be very beneficial short term for healing. That's my opinion. It got me off of my antidepressants. It helps some of my sex hormones. Now, was that the fat portion? Maybe I should have just increased my fat more, which I had no idea that women needed so much saturated fat. But I continued carnivore despite my mind telling me, nor you're stressing yourself out too much. But I continued it because I was in the big carnivore space and it was all being pushed. And Nora, you can't step out of the carnivore space because then that's really bad and you're going to do more damage. When, yes, I saw the benefits for a year and they were astronomical. But then my body was telling me something else. But because social media was saying, no, this is what you need to do. And then it got me onto all of the fasting and the other trends that were being pushed out.
Yeah.
So
Let me
that
ask you, because I know for myself the answer to this, but do you feel like part of the reason that it was hard to, I guess, I'm trying to think of the right word, was it difficult to jump off of the carnivore bandwagon because of the community aspect? Because carnivores are so great. They have such a tight niche community. And once they find another carnivore, it's like instant clicking together. But as
your
soon
best
as
friend's your family. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of like, there's certain faiths out there. I'm not going to name any specific ones, but that's what they're really good at is community. And that's what makes people feel like they belong. And if they discover truth elsewhere, if they're like, whoa, there might be some truth in this other one, God forbid they leave the community that makes them feel so good. Do you think that might have been part of it?
It was. Yes. I loved that community and I still do. And I think I felt like I was going to let them down if I stepped
Mhm.
away. But now that I have stepped away, I'm going to be honest. That community's still there
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, and I'm not trying to get off on a tangent here, but at the end of the day, we all want to eat clean, not have the processed junk, not be eating the sugar, the refined white sugar.
Right.
And if you're eating a good diet, I think that's at the end of the day, that's what I've found lately should be promoted. And
Sure.
people are still going to applaud you. But in my weird brain, I had this whole, well, I'm going to disappoint them and I'm not going to be welcome
Mm.
anymore. But I'm finding that the more I post about the healthy carbs that I'm intaking, people are still applauding for me. So
That's
that was
good.
actually that was kind of in my head.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. For me, I think it was a little different because, there's the whole aspect, and this is going to sound so juvenile. So I know it sounds ridiculous, but there's the whole these people tagging you in their stories and they're DMing you and they're messaging you. But all of that tends to disappear because, and I don't know, maybe it's totally a different reason and I'm making it up, but there's a very, very, very few amount of carnivores that still talk to me. And if I
Ah,
talk to them, they will talk nicely, but we're not as close as we were before. And I don't know if it's just, well, maybe my content doesn't appeal to them anymore, or I'm just not on social media as much as I used to. I don't know. And that's okay. I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm not saying like, ooh, whatever. But it's just, that was kind of almost like a morning I had to go through. I don't consider myself carnivore, and I disagree with a lot of the aspects, like we already said, to do it long term. And I don't know if we talked about it last one. I think we did, about gut health and how I'm learning a lot about how carnivore long term can mess up gut health. Not for everybody, but for a lot of people. So, anyways, that's part of the thing is, okay, are we in this trend, this food trend, because of the community, or is it truly our health? And are we trying to force something to work that might not necessarily be the right answer?
And that can be said with any of these diets. Veganism or vegetarianism is the exact same way, I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the same community, the same
Yep.
family aspect, and how dare you add meat into your diet. So it's across the board with any diet.
Oh, for sure.
But then,
And why can't we just make community besides food? Why does it have to be
hey, I
around
like
food?
you. You're a good person. Let's make
Yeah,
a community.
exactly. Right. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's the first one. And then you started talking about the second trend you started talking about is different fasting.
Yes. So, because we're trying to diet, and this is going to lead into probably everything else we're going to talk about. So, you can only diet so hard. And what if that's not working for you? What if this latest thing isn't working for you? Well, then there was another trend, multiple trends. For me, I saw, and I even did this, I did the lemonade fast in
Oh,
2021. Now, for me, it was very beneficial. Or was it the other stuff that I was getting rid of while I did that fast?
yeah.
That really helped me. So I did the lemonade, which was organic lemons, water, cayenne pepper,
Mm.
and then just a ton of bowel movers.
Oh.
And I did that for 6 days. That's all I had.
Did you feel okay? Did you feel
So
better?
the benefit of that, I got off of caffeine.
Oh, wow.
So I
Interesting.
went down to a half cup of black coffee just to not have those headaches, the getting off the caffeine. But prior to that lemonade fast, I was taking, and this is so embarrassing to admit, I was popping Tylenol like crazy for headaches.
Mm. I
I
wonder if
haven't
the sugar in the lemonade kind of helped with electrolyte balance.
It was just straight lemons and water. So I don't
Hmm. Okay.
yeah, no sugar, nothing else. It was and then a splash of cayenne, which I guess was something for the GI.
Mm-hmm.
But I have not had a single headache since November 2021.
Wow. Okay,
Like just a
interesting.
regular headache.
Now we're
Just
not advocating for everybody to go do lemonade
we're
fast.
not, but just showing, that was the latest trend at that time. Everyone
Mhm.
was doing these lemonade diets, I'm sorry, these lemonade fasts, and I did see a little benefit. However, could that have been the coffee that I was taking prior that I
Yeah,
got off of?
yeah. Could very well could have been. And so
So
there's
then
go ahead.
So I'm sorry, then the latest there's been sardine fast. Now, I did not partake in the sardine fast because fish and I hate each other. But did you try any of those fasts?
I did. I did. I was doing, I want to say 2 to 3 years ago,
Okay.
because I have had belly fat here since I was a teenager. I was normal weight at first for a bit, but I always had, so people say, oh, it's your pregnancy pudge. No, it's not. I've had this my whole entire life. So when I lost all my weight and I'm like, I just have this last little bit to lose. And I saw everybody getting success from sardine fast and fat fast. I said, okay, let me try it. Now, sardine fast, I don't remember. I think I only did a 1 day. I don't think I ever did the 3 day one. I did
Okay.
1 day that of sardines. And it was, I mean, it wasn't pleasurable. I'll tell you, my pleasure just dropped like, well,
Uh,
and I tried make it wasn't pure sardine. I added, mustard and mayo and stuff. So that one I don't remember how good or how negative it was. I did do fat fasts 2 or 3 times.
Oh, wow.
And I will say, now, let me preface, I am a pretty unique person. My case, even my conventional doctor who has a lot of natural means that she helps me with, even she was saying, you're confusing. I've gone to different functional doctors and stuff, and nobody knows what to do. So, that being said, my first fat fast did nothing for me. It was just, again, another day of eating a bunch of fat. I didn't lose weight. I didn't feel better. My ketones were through the roof, but there was there was nothing
Lots of
beneficial.
positives.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was just, okay, I did it. And, my clients will do that too when I ask on their forums, what wins do you have this week? And they'll say, oh, I did a fast or I did this. And I said, well, congratulations, but what did you get out of it? Just doing the fast is not necessarily a win. I want to know, what was it beneficial for you? So the second or third time, I don't remember, I did the fat fast. I think about 18 hours into it, I had horrid stomach pain right in here. And long story short, turned out that I started getting ulcers.
Oh,
So, yeah, it was really incredibly painful. And it was always about 30 minutes to an hour after I finished eating. And it would be 3 hours long. It was super long. So, there was a lot I had to do to fix that, including some conventional medicine. Then I tried doing a regular fast, like a water fast. Mindy Pels would do these 3-day fasts. She would hold these challenges and stuff. They would do 3-day fasts. I got 20 hours in and I could tell, crap, this is getting bad. And I had to do a lot of gut protocols to rebuild the mucosal lining because I was stressing my body out too much.
and that
With
was with the water fast. That was after
that
the
was
fast.
just, yep, that was just a plain water fast with electrolytes. And the pain I was getting, I recognized was, I've had this other times, like when I first started ketogenic and got better and healed, but it was definitely this thinned mucosal lining is what the cause was. And it's always the same exact pain, same exact spot. So at least I knew the protocol of what I had to do to fix it, but I knew it wasn't completely fixed because of the stress. It should have been fixed the first time. Well, of course, I brought more stress upon my body, and then that started happening. So that was my experience with it. And there's others I've heard recently, the sugar fast, that one's
The
going
sugar
on.
fast. Now
Yeah.
I've heard a lot. Now I think I've heard a lot of positives from the sugar fast
I
for
have
those that
too.
did, what is it, just the fruit. So the
Mhm.
sugar coming from fruit was
Fruit and
very
honey.
beneficial. Fruit and honey. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't get into that too
I have
much.
a few friends who have done it. And the thing is, okay, if you look at our metabolism, at our fueling, right? So protein is important to keep muscle, right?
Mhm.
You are fueled by either glucose or the fatty acids, ketones. Those are our two fuels we can run on. So if you're going to have high fat, you got to make sure you have low carb. But if
Okay.
you bring the carbs up, you just make sure the fat is down. And for some people,
I didn't
that
know that.
actually, yeah, that's what the bro gym stuff was like in the, I don't know, in the 90s or something, 80s and 90s. It was your chicken, your broccoli, your rice.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's essentially, I mean, this is more starch versus, or that was starch versus sugar, but it's the same concept in a sense. And then I know there's other genes, I think it was like FF21 or something. There's science with it why the sugar part is helping, the fructose, glucose. But if I'm going to simplify it, that's kind of how I see it. You put the fat down, you keep the protein down to prevent gluconeogenesis and all that stuff. And then it's just like, oh, okay. There are some carnivores who talked about doing it. The difference, though, is they went from strict carnivore to eating, I don't know, 3, 4, up to 700 grams of carbs for their sugar fast. And that's not how you do
That's
it.
going to be tough on the gut.
Yeah, yeah. And your digestive capacity is not used to breaking down the carbs and the fiber and everything from there. So you can't go from strict carnivore to a sugar fast. That's not going to work. You need to slowly reintroduce things.
Okay.
So I'm realizing we're naming all these different things, but not necessarily saying like, is it all bad? No, there's ways to do
No.
it properly and there's a time and place, but we'll get to that
And what
part towards the end.
what doesn't work for us could work for you. We are just sharing what we've noticed and then our journeys with these latest things.
Right, right. No, for sure. So the next one was, oh, this one's really funny. Testing for everything. Times that people will message me and say, "Can you order fill in the blank tests?" And I say, "Yeah, sure, I can do that for you." "Well, can you also order this one and this one and this one?" "You know that's going to be like $1,000." "Yeah, yeah, but can you order it?" So, well, I need to evaluate you first to see, do you even need that? I'm not going to order and interpret tests needlessly if there's no purpose behind them. And this is the other thing. People are just, can you test all my hormones? Can you test all? Well, I don't know. So
That's going to be
that's
pricey.
it is pricey, and it's going to do is confirm your symptoms most of the time. And the reason I do certain tests is, okay, let's say fatigue, energy loss. Well, there can be a number of root causes of that: iron deficiency, thyroid issues, hormone imbalances, B vitamin depletion, MTHFR gene mutation. So I will test to figure out which one it is, but I'm not going to do a test just to confirm, oh, you have low progesterone, when I could tell from all the symptoms you were telling me. So that's my 2 cents behind it.
So tell your practitioner your symptoms instead of going in with this broad scope of things that you want. You need to narrow it down, possibly. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
I mean,
Instead of just
it's good to be
the
thorough
umbrella.
maybe once. I mean, with blood tests, it's different. When I think testing, I think of functional tests where people say, "Hey, can you do a GI map on me? Can you do a Dutch test?" Things like that. And when I evaluate them, I say, "I don't think that's, the main thing you need is a Dutch test." Dutch tests, I don't do very often. That's the
Really?
last resort. No, I don't. I'll
Wow.
do it if someone's done their blood work, if someone's done gut testing, things like that, then usually I might go. Or if there's some sort of sign that your body's not metabolizing the hormones properly,
Okay.
then I will, if you have perfect serum levels, but it's clearly obvious your hormones are still messed up, okay, well, let's go to Dutch and see how your body's metabolizing it. But it's not a first go to. I'll do adrenal Dutch, but not necessarily the hormones all the time.
And I think that it varies from practitioner to practitioner or
Mm-hmm.
coach to coach. Some coaches are very narrow-minded on
Mm-hmm.
their approach, and they will only see one thing. So they might order all of these tests, but then they're going to sway you one way because that's what they specialize in.
I'm just laughing because I know exactly what you're talking about. I know the exact the exact situation you're talking about. But yes,
Should we go into that one next or
totally up to you. That is your ballpark if you want to talk about that.
so when you've dieted as hard as you and I have and you're still not healed, you're still not losing weight. I stopped losing weight on carnivore. Now,
Mhm.
I know what my underlying issue is, and we'll get to that. But I started having questions. Well, why am I not pregnant on carnivore? Why am I not maintaining a pregnancy? So I sought out the next coach that offered to help me with my pregnancy journey. And this was one of the shiny things in 2023. I think I heard about it a lot. So the coach that I was with pushed me towards the CIRS diagnosis. And that has been now, I'm going to preface by saying, is mold toxicity real? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I have heard horror stories and my heart breaks for those people that have gone through that and they can't live in their home. However, that's not my case. So I went down the CIRS rabbit hole in 2023 and the testing was very expensive. The treatment was very expensive for my pocketbook and for my brain.
Mhm.
It was very taxing. The CIRS treatment led to suicidal thoughts, on Christmas and the holidays 2023, and I bought all the stuff for my house. I had everything cleaned. I had all the testing done, And I finally was like, at the end, I said, I can't. I
Yeah.
am 5 times worse than when I started. And so that was the shiny thing for me in 2023. The next thing after the diet, all of the testing, and then going down the CIRS rabbit hole. That's been happening a lot lately in this natural community. A lot of people are going down that
The
pathway, and
SIRS
I
and
think
mold
you
pathway.
yeah, and you went down that recently too,
I
and you
did.
had a great experience, right? I think from your inspector?
Oh, yeah, yeah. There's this guy who's focused on mold inspections here in the valley, and he's been doing it for 30 years. And we had a long conversation about it because everybody promotes the ERMI test. Now, I am not a specialist in mold. I'm just sharing my experience with it. But he said the ERMI was never, I don't remember if he said FDA approved, but it was never fully approved because there's so many false positives. Or it emphasizes the little bit you have and it's like it blows it up into something bigger.
Over
So
exaggerates.
yeah, thank you. It exaggerates. So he just did, I don't know the name of the tests, but he swabbed the air vents and stuff. We were trying to figure out a smell that is in between Isaac and my mom's room. And then Isaac and I, we've all had allergy stuff going for God knows how long. So he did find a little bit, but he said his experience, that little bit that's there, normally does not contribute to any allergies, and all you need to do is an air duct cleaning, and that's it. And so we did $500 air duct cleaning. Apparently, it's never been cleaned before.
Same with mine. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ugh.
we found the original air conditioning unit's manual in the air duct from
Oh my goodness.
1980 something. The guy's like, "Is this yours?" That looks old. I don't know what that is. So it was cleaned out. The smell is a little bit better,
Okay.
but not completely. So there's still something going on. But here's the thing. It's one of those things, pick your battles, right? So
Yes.
I feel if I was in a super moldy place, what I'm about to say would not make sense.
Yeah.
But the minuscule amount that's in our house, I just want to do everything to my body to help support
Detox.
detoxing.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Sauna. I talked about Body Bio PC. Body Bio in general, that whole brand is fantastic for supporting detox and
Nice.
getting rid of toxins in your body. So my priority is to support that. But in general, I'm curious if any of you watching, if this applies to you, please comment. Has anyone ever tested for CIRS and tested negative? That's my big thing. Like the visual
Mhm.
test, I don't know anyone who said, "Oh, I thought I had it, but then I tested negative." Or I even want to see a healthy person, someone who has no symptoms. Please use the visual test and see, do you come out healthy? Are you good? I'm
That
just
would be
curious.
fascinating. It's only
Yeah.
what, 50 is it $15 to take the visual test?
Yeah, it's super cheap. The
And it's
VCS
it's
test is what
dependent
it's called.
it's dependent on your computer, the
Mhm.
lighting, everything. I
Yeah, the
I
how
bet you
distant
5
it is from
bucks.
your face.
I bet you I did it wrong. And, ugh,
Well, I mean, I tested that I have it, and that's where I started freaking out. But then my understanding also is CIRS mimics nervous system dysregulation, which brings me into my next point. This is my big question. Why do people hop on the latest trends?
yes.
Number one is they haven't reached whatever goal it is. Number two is community. They want to fit in, they want to be relevant. But whatever they're doing still isn't working. Now, it is so much easier to take a pill, to take a supplement, to buy an expensive gadget, to tell me I can't eat anything but red meat and that's it. It's so much easier to do that than to face the trauma from the past, to regulate your nervous system, meaning say no to good things and let yourself have some free time to sit and read a book or
Yes.
to take deep breaths, to remember to do deep breaths through the day to regulate and activate that vagus nerve that is so important to so this is like my new soapbox thing that which is why we're talking about this, that I'm just like, no, maybe you don't need the cold plunge. Maybe you don't need to buy a $1,000 red light panel. Maybe you just need to breathe more and tell your body you're safe.
So let's go on some positives because we've talked about some
Yeah.
negatives, and I do want to get back to the supplements. My biggest, or it's the smallest health hack that has been changing my morning. I go to work very early. So
Mhm.
thankfully, the sun's been rising earlier, and I've been going out and doing my Bible study up on the top of my hill in my backyard where the sun rises for 15 minutes. So I'll take off those, yes, another shiny thing, my blue light blockers, and I will stare directly at the sun for 15 minutes, look down, do my Bible study, look back up, and my entire nervous system, I'll go out there with the shakes. Yes, I wake up with the shakes. My body is that
Mhm.
stressed. And for that 15 minutes, my whole body calms down. It didn't cost me a single thing. It took 15 minutes of my morning and completely just calmed me, and that has worked better than any supplement I've ever taken.
That's the part that I think is the key that we needed to get to is you may not need to spend the money, but you need to do that. You need to make time for yourself. And that's exactly what I was getting at is take that 15 minutes in the morning and do something that's self-care, You don't need to take another class. You don't need to buy another course. You don't need to just regulate yourself. I rarely get a client who doesn't have disrupted cortisol.
Yeah.
Rarely. A lot of times that's the root issue. Is like we need to balance your nervous system. We need to make you feel safe. We need to do circadian rhythm stuff, which is more than just the sunrise, but that's a good start. Sometimes that's all you need. So let me ask you, what got you to finally do that? Because I know you were like struggling for a bit to get out of your bed and go see the sunrise. How did you finally kick yourself in the butt to go do it?
I'm tired, to be honest. Um, I'm tired of things not working, and I want to simplify at this point. And yes, I sit on the couch with my husband, we sip our coffee, and we read, and with the kitties, and that's our downtime, but I was like, "No, I have been following certain people, and maybe this is another, this is the latest shiny thing, but it's free, and I love that."
Mhm.
I said, "Okay, Bryce, my husband, I'm going to go up to our hill. I've got a chair up there now,
Oh,
and
that's
I'm going
cool.
to sit." Oh, yeah, I brought a chair, it's in my dirt. And I just you have to force me. So sometimes he has to force me. I get the little alert on my phone. Sun's coming up. Go see the sunrise. And okay, I'm in my PJs and I'm gonna go out there. And even with the golf carts passing by, I'm up there just enjoying. I do listen to the birds. The birds are going crazy at 5:45, 6 o'clock in the morning. And I just focus on that. And yes, it was me following every trend. I'm going to list off just a few that I've done. So I did keto, carnivore, supplements, CIRS, thyroid,
I
fasting, lots of supplements. I did the castor oil packs, which I do need to get back to,
forgot about that one. Yeah.
red light therapy instead of the sun. So I was thinking because I'm up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, which is another thing that needs to change. I was doing the red light instead of going out and seeing the sunrise. That's pretty much my journey.
Yeah.
All of the shiny things that I've
And
been
it's
following
like
to for health. Give me
I
optimal health.
And I just want to make sure because I know we're going to get comments, people saying like, "Well, this worked for me," and absolutely some of these things do work, but we just want to
Yes.
emphasize instead of jumping from one to the next to the next to the next, maybe there's just that foundation that still needs to be fixed. So Primal Health Institute, where I got certified through, there's like the 7 tenets. There's nutrition, there's exercise, there's sleep, there's stress, there's play, and then 2 others I always forget. But the stress one is the one that's most neglected. And so that's why I'm saying sometimes these trends, they might be beneficial for some, but if you don't get to that root cause of how do you manage yourself when you get stressed, it's almost all for nothing.
My gut has been wrecked since I had my gallbladder removed at age 12. And for the past 5 years, I have taken, I can't tell you how many dozens of supplements to fix my gut. And I've just had to take them all away. And I'm starting with the basics now because I
Yeah.
know the one thing I've never addressed in my natural health journey and even my Western medicine journey, stress was never addressed. And for me, I believe I'm that simple of a person. I need to take away instead of just adding. I have been adding. I added work last year because I'm a contractor. So I was able to make that extra money super easily. Well, what did that do to my nervous system? I
Yeah.
added a camping trip every month. As fun as that is, and as blessed as I am to be able to do that, what is that doing to my nervous system? The
Right.
conferences, the booking fun things on the weekend instead of being home and just calming down, slowing down. I've never addressed the nervous system. And
Yeah.
what, for me, all of these shiny things that I've spent, I can't tell you thousands of dollars on. What if it could be that simple for some people? I know for you,
Well, okay. For me, I will explain. I do have childhood trauma from when I was young. However, I did go through EMDR therapy and counseling through the years, and I have mentally healed from it. But if you've never read the book The Body Keeps the Score, it is an incredible book, and someone borrowed it, and I don't know who, so now I need to get another one. It had all my underlinings in it, and I'm like,
oh
um,
no.
yeah, I know. Well, it'll just make me underline again, I guess. But it is an incredible story or book with science backed aspects that it's not just a memory you went through. Your body holds on to it. So for me, that has been my journey. And I like to say, like you're saying, where yes, I've gone through a various amount of different trends, and I even registered for a nervous system course, which for the past 2 months I have neglected to watch any of the videos, but I am still putting some of the things into practice because I'm so busy. And even though I'm bringing some stuff down, other things are increasing at times. For example,
And that's
I
life, right?
onboarded, yeah, I onboarded 5 new one-on-one clients within a week. That means 5 onboarding processes. That means 5 sets of labs, some of them more than just blood labs. And then plus I have other clients that are just blood labs. So there was just a lot going on. Plus we have a foster kiddo now. So there's just a lot of that. But that being said, I have the complications of that. I have the complications of having epilepsy since I was 12 and being on high doses of medication since then. God only knows what the medications do to the body. Between the stress and the medications, I do as much as I can to heal, but then I learn, oh, actually, I still got more healing to do. But the growth aspect is at least I know I don't have to be strict ketogenic all the time for it, or I don't have to be fill in the blank all the time for it to heal. Give it enough time, let it do its job, and then maybe switching to something else sometimes is helpful. So,
And that's a huge stress relief for you, probably, right? That's a lot off
mhm.
your shoulders, knowing that you don't have to be strict.
Yeah, to know that if I'm craving an apple, I can have the apple. And the craving isn't necessarily, a sugar lizard brain kind of thing. It's just, ooh, it's fall and apples are in season and I love the taste of a crisp apple in my mouth. And
Me
then when
too.
I finish, yeah, when I finish the apple, I'm actually good. I'm not going to grab all the sugar and the candy. Right now it's the watermelons. I just bought a nice organic watermelon and I was like, "Oh, I missed this taste." And I'm not overdoing it. I'm being careful where I'm not bumping up the fat super high when I'm having the carbs. I'm still low carb, you know? It is a huge freedom to know that I can sit with my kid, 2 kids right now, and have, food that they're eating. I had some rice in my ground beef last night and it was delicious. Just a little bit, like a fourth cup of rice in there. And I was like, oh my gosh,
Nice.
I missed the taste of rice. So,
And now, if we hadn't gone through these shiny things, could you and I be where we are with our gut health and
mm,
our mental portion? So, no, we are not saying that chasing all of these shiny things is bad, because I know for me, without cutting out all sugar and all
mhm.
carbs, I wouldn't realize how bad my triggers are and heal those.
Right. No,
Like,
I agree.
so
Yeah.
we are not poo-pooing all of this. We just is doing all of the things all at once instead of simplifying.
Yeah. No, 100% agree. And then knowing that these are just tools in your toolbox. So, again, I'm not poo pooing keto. I still use it for myself and for my clients. But instead of just, okay, someone shared me this analogy the other day. And if she watches this video, she's going to know it's her. So I give Lindsay props for this. You have a hammer, right? You have a hammer. You're going to do something with the hammer. You're going to build a house or whatever it is. You can't do all the tasks with just a hammer. Sometimes you might need a saw or a screwdriver or a drill or a crowbar, whatever it is. So the more tools you learn how to use and they're in your toolbox and you learn their purposes,
Ah,
the better, right? So,
nice.
yeah, you know what fasting does, you know its purpose. If you are no longer insulin resistant and you're insulin sensitive and you're feeling good, you don't need to keep fasting. If you have a sustainable way of living that you can continue onwards without any issue, you shouldn't need to keep fasting, right? That's my soapbox. So don't always use the hammer. Use the crowbar when necessary or the saw or whatever, and just know I have red light therapy, I have castor oil packs, I have peptides, grounding, all those kind of things, and I know when to use them so you don't overwhelm yourself. Yeah. So again, we don't poo poo all of these. I started using castor oil on my face now and around here to
Ooh.
help. Yeah. You just put like a tiny little bit in your palm here and just rubbing it and doing like a gua sha thing just to help with lymphatic drainage because I have a lot of sinus issues. So I've had this castor oil for a long time, and I'll put a
Yeah, yeah.
link in the description to one that I trust because they're not all created equal. I've done that. Sometimes if my stomach starts hurting or if I feel a little bit of like, maybe pelvic pain with ovulation, perimenopause, hormones, stuff, I might wear that for a few nights. So I have these tools, and your red light you used the other day, right? With your
Yes,
back.
for my back pain. Yep.
Exactly. So, but we're not stressing ourselves to have to jump on all of these all the time, right?
Yes.
Because that nervous system is really, really important for digestion. And if you're not optimizing your digestion, then again, it's all for nothing. So,
And I think it's more stop outsourcing everything.
hmm
And that was my biggest thing. So with my fertility journey, I have been bouncing from person to person that has offered to help me and dangle the latest thing in front of my face. And I said, "Ooh, this is going to work this time." Ooh, and then I would get scared because my testing, they ran all the tests and of course things came back bad.
yeah.
And but they pushed me towards a certain path based on what they were either selling or promoting, or that was their thing at the time. And instead, I have just been needing to look inside me because thankfully I have been on this journey. And I, like you said, I know I have all of these tools. And now I need to decide which tools are really beneficial for me
hmm
and just stop outsourcing everything. And for me, it's just calming down and
And
being still.
sometimes, no, exactly. And sometimes it's, you do need that other person to hire a certain coach that will tell you that.
Oh, yes,
So,
100%. Yeah.
yeah, where, sometimes clients will come to me and I'll tell them, there's this supplement you can have that helps to calm you, But really your biggest thing is, stress management. And when they look at me thinking, what, you're not going to give me 20 bottles of supplements? I say, no. I mean, I can give you some adaptogens or certain ones that help with the HPA axis to get you kind of going. But it's funny how, it's not everything needs a hammer. That's the bottom line. Not everything needs keto. Not every symptom needs, blue light blockers or whatever. And those are very helpful, by the way. I do usually use them. It has changed Jeff's sleep like crazy, and I'm not affiliated with any of them. So yeah, his sleep is really great. And sometimes supplements, there's a time and place for it.
Yes.
But that's what I'm saying. Toolbox, guys.
So thanks to this social media community, I was able to get some digestion help. And instead of taking the 12 supplements I was on at one point just to have one bowel movement a day, I was able to cut. Yeah, girl, I was on 12.
Oh my gosh.
And I still couldn't go. Yes, we are going to share all of our hot truths on this. But
we should have a poop episode, by the way.
That sounds good. But anyway, I was able, because I met someone, she said, why don't you just go simple and just take this one supplement, which I'll reveal another time. But I took this one thing. It's been daily. I stopped stressing about it. So, anyways.
Yes. So, in closing, just remember you're building your toolbox.
Yes.
And you don't want it to be just a hammer or just a screwdriver or whatever it is. You don't want to be just keto, just carnivore. You don't want to have to jump to a sardine fast every time you mess up, or any type of fast, whatever it is. You need to find the way that lives for you. You need to simplify things, regulate that nervous system, make your body feel safe is very important, because otherwise, again, it's all for nothing. So, all right, I'm so excited to see the comments and see what people say.
Yes, so please share, what shiny things have you sought after? What worked for you? We would love to know what latest fad has worked for you and maybe what hasn't. But
share with us your experience. I'd love to hear it. Don't forget to share, to like, subscribe to the channel, whether it's on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. We want to get this podcast really out there for people. We don't care about popularity. We just care about helping people. And if you've worked with me as a client, that's for sure my method. And share with us your thoughts, comments, tag us on Instagram, Facebook, whatever social media you use.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for this, Jen.
See you later, bud.